everyone, it's Jessica Dybzinski. Thank you so much for being here today. It is time for yet another Makers with Heart mystery envelope. And this month's envelope was sent to us by Lori. I love the pieces she has included. We've got a piece of lemonade shimmer trim and a couple of pieces from the Four Seasons spring collection from Close to My Heart. I think these are so pretty. I love this floral and also all of the colors that are on this polka dot piece. And so I think what I'm going to do is scrapbook a photo of my daughters and my niece and me. So in Lori's rules, they're actually pretty simple. We do have to use everything, even if it's just a tiny piece of what she has sent us. We're allowed to bring in any other cardstock that we want. Embellishments are free as well. We're allowed to go crazy. But the one thing that we cannot do is to use a technique that is normal to us. So she explicitly called me out in the directions and said I could not do any stitching. So I am going to channel my inner Lori and I am going to turn to my Cricut because Lori is someone I looked up to as far as Cricut skills go. And so I've gone ahead and cut this background piece here from the Everyday Moments collection, which I believe you can probably find if you search in Cricut design space. And I've cut a couple of the parts already. I'm not really sure what color cardstock to back it with. I really do like that blue capri color, but then when I put the title that came with this collection over top of it, it's just a lot of blue. So I might play with that a little bit. My thought is that I will back a couple of these diamond pieces, not all of them, but some of them, with the pattern paper that Lori sent us. I think I've got enough here in what she sent to be able to spread a couple of them out. And it should fit with that little 2x6 inch strip of green pattern paper as well. So I've gone ahead and recut that title, this time with some flamingo cardstock, and I think that that looks much better. It's definitely popping off the page. There was way too much blue before, and if I used the flamingo as my base color, I don't know, it was a little bit too much pink. I'm much happier with this capri color, so I'm going to go with this and pop that up on some foam tape, the heart part, and then I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my bottom page just to hold it in place on my Versamat. And then I'll go ahead and kind of figure a couple of things out before I do any gluing. So these little diamond pieces, I was able to, what did I do? They have like little circles cut in them in the Cricut collection, but I did the contour feature, I think, so that they could be a solid diamond. And I cut them out of, as you can see, the different pieces of pattern paper that she sent. And I did spend some time kind of placing them around. And they were a delicate cut kind of, because I was trying to make them fit onto those little pieces of paper. So some of them didn't cut very well. And I'm trying to be strategic about where I put them and where I can cover some of those little mistakes up. So I did spend some time laying them out first and then carefully moving them back off so that I can glue them back in the same order. And somehow along the way, I get all screwed up because when I go to actually put them down with the glue, you'll see here in a little bit that it just does not work out. But I'm going to go ahead and glue this white overlay down first. I think it is so pretty. Honestly, I kind of love it by itself, even though it is really fun to put those pattern pieces in there. But it's so pretty. And I was a little worried. My cat Atticus came to join me for quite a bit of the making of this layout. I was like, just wait till I get all this glue down. That's going to be when he decides to walk over my page. And sure enough, he did. I had to get like so much cat hair off of this page as I was working. It was kind of funny. Okay, so here is where my diamond fiasco begins. I thought that I had very carefully pulled them off the page in the order that I wanted to put them on, but then I kind of screw up somewhere. I'm not even sure where. Maybe I'll figure it out as I'm watching this playback, in putting them back down. You'll see when I get towards the bottom of the page here in a second that my pattern is all messed up. So I think originally I was trying to skip every other line and then, split the difference in between the two. Oh, you know what I think I did? I think it's that green one on the bottom. That's where I went wrong. And it kind of threw the rest of the pattern off. So when I come to realize it, I'm like, well, just keep going, I guess. And we're going to go ahead and put these down in no particular order then. And they're not really following any sort of pattern. But I guess no one will ever really notice except for me. But that is something, I guess, to pay attention to if you use this Cricut design. So I'm going to go ahead and finish kind of gluing some of those in. And then as I'm doing this, I'm kind of thinking too, I know I need to mat my photo a little bit because things are not popping off the page enough, including that title. So I did print my photo with a white border on it, and then I just trimmed it down so that it has maybe like a 1/16 of an inch of white showing all the way around. But I think it's definitely going to need a piece of colored cardstock back there as well. So I'm kind of looking at that, and just like I said, I've realized that my diamonds are not correct, but that's okay. So I did go ahead and mat my photo in black cardstock, and I thought, maybe if I bring in a piece of ballerina cardstock and give these two things something to sit on, that will help somehow, because I wasn't really liking the look of things. And then I thought maybe the black was too stark of a contrast, and since I had that ballerina cardstock sitting right there, I'm like, what about just backing it in some ballerina? And it ended up being the perfect size. I just had to trim the one edge. So that was the way I decided to go. And then, but still, like I said, things are not popping off the page enough. And there's something about this that I don't really like. I think it's the title. I don't like how there are a couple holes in between some of the letters and the words. And you can see parts of the background pattern showing through, but it looks odd. So I think I need to do something, and I don't know if I want to cut like a square or a circle or do something like that to layer these on. And then I decided I'm just going to go back into my Cricut and use the offset feature to cut a base for the title, and then just kind of work from there and see how I like that. I decide that looks much better, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. I used the darker side of Capri for my offset cut, and I am using the lighter side of Capri as my base page. So that way it's the same color, but it's still a little bit different, and I think that'll be just enough to kind of make it stand out a little bit. So I don't know, I'm thinking I might put some journaling down there over to the left, bottom left of my photo. I'm going to go ahead and glue my photo down, because I do find sometimes when I get to this point where I'm a little stuck, I just go ahead and start gluing things down, because then that forces me to move forward. What do you guys do when you get to that point? Do you have like a little trick that you like to use when you feel stuck? For me, like I said, I just kind of go ahead and glue something down, and it makes me move on. All right, I do have that strip of lemonade shimmer trim that Lori had sent, and she did say we had to use everything, big or small. You got to have some part of it on your project. So I am going to cut it in two, and I'm going to slide just a little bit underneath the top part of my photo, and then the other half underneath the bottom part. So as a little trick, if you are using something like this that is sticky all the way along the back and you want to slide it under a piece, I like to use this paper crafting tool, and I just use the little flat end as almost like an extra finger. I stick it to it, and then that way I can hold up with my hand, the paper or the photo, and it just gives me one extra hand or finger to work with. So that's an easy way to slide it underneath. I'm double checking Lori's rules to make sure I don't get too far into my creation and discover that I have done something wrong. All right, I pulled out a couple of embellishment ideas. I've got these dots. There are some flamingo colored ones on there. I have my favorite wooden buttons, and I really wanted to use those, but I could tell immediately when I started to lay them out that they didn't look right. So even though I try to use those, I don't have any more of the really tiny ones either. I decided to turn to the white acrylic buttons instead. And at first I didn't know if I was going to use those because there is a lot of white going on in the background, but I actually end up really liking the way that they sort of blend in, but also you can still see them just as well. So I'm going to fuss around a little bit with where to place them. I actually had to take a break and go eat lunch because I was getting a little frustrated with the embellishing part. And so I had to stop and walk away from my buttons for a little bit. Another thing that I did while I was trying to figure that out was I grabbed my white gel pen and I'm just going around that flamingo cardstock where I have cut love, 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 and I'm adding just a little line and 2 dots to each of the letters, just to give it a little something extra. You can't see it very well here, but you'll definitely see it in the close-ups at the end. And I think that added a really nice touch and makes it stand out just a little bit more. All right, I know Lori said that I wasn't allowed to do any stitching. She specifically called me out in the directions, but because I did use buttons, I had to sew them on. So I didn't really do any like stitching. I'm just attaching my buttons to my page. I figure it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I'm sorry, Lori, if that broke your rules, but I can't have naked buttons on my layout. So that was just to attach them to the page. I didn't do any other sewing, I promise. All right, I'm still looking for a couple of other little pieces to embellish this page with, and I remembered that I still had a bunch of leftover stickers from the It's the Little Things 6x6 collection. And I know that there are some ballerina colored, flamingo colored stickers and things in there, and also this yellow, the lemonade is in there. So I try to work a couple of those tabs in, but I don't really like it. I don't really have any other yellow except for that shimmer trim. And then I do find this cute, tiny little flamingo colored sticker, and it says Enjoy Life. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the top of my photo. And then I do like this butterfly, and I try really hard to work that in. Oh, I haven't grabbed the butterfly yet. I'm going to grab this butterfly, and I'm going to try really hard to work that in. But there aren't any other butterflies anywhere on the layout, and I just couldn't find a good place for it. So I decided not to use it. So I think the final thing that I am going to put on here, though, like I said, I've grabbed these dots. These are from actually the Freshly Baked collection, but that's okay because I just need the flamingo colored ones to match my cardstock. I'm going to grab some of the hearts, some of the dots, and I'm going to scatter them around my page. I am trying to cover up 1 or 2 spots where I had, like I said, my Cricut didn't quite cut that pattern paper very well because I was really trying to scrunch all of those pieces together to make them fit onto what I had been sent. And so a couple of the corners got a little bit scrunched up. So I did put a couple of dots in some strategic places. But otherwise, I'm just going to scatter them around, and that will be the end of it. So if you are new to watching the mystery envelope videos, each month one of us will take a turn to send out the same parts and pieces to the other girls in the Makers with Heart group. And then we all share our creations on the 25th of the month. It's a surprise to us because we haven't seen what we've created ahead of time. And so I really love this day because I get to go see what my friends have made with the exact same pieces. I will leave links to all of the other videos below, so make sure that you check out what the other ladies have done. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have enjoyed. Have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye.